Welcome back to the channel. My name is Melanie and I am super jazzed to be here as always. Today I'm going to share with you guys my monthly spread for February 2021. It is a very sleepy time of the year here in the North Okanagan. Winter is fully set in. There is little to no color in the trees anymore, and everything has really slowed down for a rest. I love living in the North Okanagan, and I've mentioned this in many of my Pagan Plan With Me videos, but it really allows you to experience all 4 of the seasons. It is the dead of winter in February. It is cold, the color has sapped from the trees, the sky is more often than not gray. We are in the thick of it. Like with most of my spreads, I start out by mapping out with a pencil the calendar and where I'm going to be putting the title of the page and the trees. Once I have everything in there with a pencil, I go in with my taupe and I make sure that I go horizontal when I'm coloring in the birch trees. We all know that Tombow pens definitely layer and you can see your lines when you overlap the felt. This I decided to use to my advantage, and it provided a really awesome shading effect, adding a lot of depth and realism to the birch trees themselves. We have a lot of birch stands here, which is just a cluster of birch trees. They are a beautiful thing to see in the winter. They have many different shades of taupe and pinks and browns in them, so I decided to go with that color palette for February's layout. Going in with my fine lining black pen to add definition and create the pattern for the birch bark as well as the branches, I really wanted to make sure that it had that rough sketch look. This adds to my ability to create more trees for my rolling weeklies later on if I feel like it. It also helps take away the burden of needing to get a perfectly straight line, and it just allows me a little bit more freedom when I'm doing these spreads, so I don't have to sit here and agonize over every outline that I do. I enjoy the sketchy look, and I think with birch trees in particular, it's very easy to pull off. My advice if you decide to do birch trees or a spread that is similar to mine, don't fill in the birch bark too much with black lines. Start with clusters of 2 to 3 lines and add more as you go. You can easily add more shading and texture and design into the branches and the bark itself, but it's a lot harder to take it away. So start very lightly and then fill in gradually as you need. Remember, nature is not symmetrical, so having things like super straight lines or perfect circles is actually really distracting when you're looking at something that is supposed to be organic or natural. In other words, my great, wise, sage advice would be to get a little bit sloppy in your birch tree endeavors. That being said though, the combination of the sketchy black outline for the birch trees and the smooth, crisp, horizontal lines for the calendar itself is extremely satisfying to me. For privacy's sake, I didn't fill in my personal information into this calendar, but whenever I am doing my layout, I will go back to my year at a glance and write in any important dates that I have set. I also write in the lunar phases that are important to me and corresponding YouTube videos I will be publishing. Because I'm doing a full moon series right now, I will write in when I publish my full moon series, when I publish my Tamtara vlogs, etc., etc. I just fill in my calendar as I see fit. I wanted to have a clean and clear title of February 2021, so I took my taupe color, did a fairly large rectangle here, outlined it in black, and then I just hand wrote February. Which, by the way, always psychs me out when I'm trying to spell it because there's an R in there that for the longest time I didn't know existed. In order to create the Dutch door, I just go in with my scissors and cut out the birch tree. If you guys watched my first Pagan plan with me, I did a Dutch door of trees at the beginning of my bullet journal for my name and date page. I am sticking with the tree Dutch door theme, it seems. I promise at some point I will branch out from foliage spreads, but for now, working with the seasons, the trees are really the only greenery or naturalistic plant life I see out there other than snow. Once we have the Dutch door cut out, I flip it over and I begin to draw, yes, you guessed it, another tree. I think it's cool that I just get to use the similar branches of the tree that's on the front side of the page, on the back side, and once you lay it flat and the tree is fully drawn, I really enjoy the layering effect that takes place over top of the calendar and this Dutch door. I really want to point out that the reason I have time and the reason I was okay with spending this much time on my February calendar page, because this took me several hours to draw all of these trees, is because I'm not doing monthly trackers. For 2021, I have decided to do seasonal trackers where I will track all of winter, spring, summer, and fall's progress. So 3 months in one page of trackers. I'll show you guys in another video if it's something you're interested in seeing. But because I don't have to create and map out and draw a tracker for each month, I allow myself to have some more time to get creative with doing the calendar and putting in some fun, artistic, and definitely drawing heavy layouts. An important part of all of my monthly spreads would be my tarot card of the month. For the month of February, my tarot card is Two of Pentacles. I take out my tarot Bible that I use for my correspondences when I'm doing tarot practice, and I write down the keywords and key phrases. I don't really feel the need to write down the interpretation. The keywords and key phrases act as catalysts for my own interpretation of this card. I don't like to read descriptions of the cards because it takes away the freedom of my own interpretation, and I think it's important to allow yourself to interpret your own divination and apply it to your life using that intuition of your own. That being said though, I do think it's important to have the keywords and key phrases included in my monthly spread because it sparks those associations in my mind and helps me really ground in the information. As well as including a tarot card of the month, I like to write down the videos that I am planning on releasing. This is where I will provide myself with the space to do something specifically for February. Because I do the trackers by the seasons, it's nice to have this extra space each month for whatever I feel the need to include. And depending on how the month goes, I might record my dog's training progress here as well and have a few little goals for Ripley and I. With the completion of the backside of the Dutch door, February's spread is actually done, and I move on to preparing my weekly rolling spread. I wanted to tie in the theme of the trees and complete the whole layout, so I did 2 birch trees on the right-hand side. Once I completed the actual calendar page, these birch trees became very, very easy to do, so I didn't feel the need to outline them with pencil, and I went right in there with my Tombow marker, my black outline, and these trees took me like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, which is really sustainable for a cohesive layout throughout the entire month. I tried to make the spacing of these 2 birch trees on my weekly spread match the spacing of my calendar page. This way you wouldn't be able to tell the difference and the Dutch door would be extra sneaky. After that, I wanted to balance the page out, so I went on the left side and traced out a bit of a border. This border remains hidden when the Dutch door lays down flat, and that was important to me to have that kind of cohesive page when I opened up the bullet journal. Underneath the Dutch door, I just did some simple triangles and numbered the days of the week, and at the bottom is where I decided to write in my in-bulk correspondences. On one page I can fit 2 weeks. I'm not someone who usually writes too much in my bullet journal, but I don't usually pre-design the weeklies. I like to do 2 weeks at a time so I can change my mind, add things, etc., etc. How I include and write down information about the Sabbats, the Wheel of the Year, or any kind of holiday that I'm choosing to celebrate during a month changes on the holiday that I'm celebrating. Because Imbolc isn't a solstice or an equinox, it's not something that I put a lot of pressure on myself to celebrate. It's more of a energetic shift, but not like an energetic pivot, if that makes sense. To recognize and honor the fact that we are spinning the Wheel of the Year though, I do like to incorporate some fun activities depending on the time. Imbolc falls right in the middle of the winter solstice and the spring equinox. This is when the spark of life, the fire, the candle mass, the flame ignites again. Our days are getting longer. We are starting to get cabin fever, basically. It's the pagan celebration of cabin fever. Imbolc or candle mass or Brigid's Day is on the 1st and 2nd of February, usually on the 2nd, but often there is celebrations that will carry over from the 1st to the 2nd. So I tend to celebrate or incorporate the practices of Imbolc for about a week and a bit. I do this with most of my solstices or my Esbat celebrations. I don't like to confine it to just one day. It seems to be a lot more integratable and a valued practice when I take the time to really live in the moment of the season. The reason I enjoy celebrating the Wheel of the Year is because it's based on very tangible changes in our environment. It connects you to the natural rhythms and cycles of nature and allows you to really tap into something that is larger than yourself, which is Mother Earth and the great oneness of it all. So in honor of Imbolc, I will be doing a spring clean. I'm also going to be working on a Tamtara vlog for you all, showing you the process of ordering and planning my seed haul prep for the spring, and ties in heavily to my Imbolc celebrations. This is a time for sowing seeds, as it were. Come March, we will be in the full swing of things for spring here, so February is the last calm moments before we jump both feet into the energetic excitement and production of springtime moving into summer. So this is the last quiet reprieve, and I wanted my spread to really show the calm before the proverbial storm. I hope you enjoyed my February spread, got some inspiration, or just took some time out of your day to relax while you watched me doodle copious amounts of birch trees. It was really enjoyable to include something like the Dutch door. I think my favorite feature of my monthly spread would be how the Dutch door layers really well on top of both of the pages it lays on. I like the spacing of the trees, and I'm really happy overall how it turned out. The sun is disappearing because, like I said, it is still very much winter here, so I am going to say goodbye, so long, farewell. I will see you all very shortly with a few other exciting videos. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.